Welcome to In the Room, where we explore the elusive world of casting for film, TV, and commercials. Join us as we interview directors, writers, producers, and actors, taking a deep dive into their experiences with casting and how the ultimate decisions are made in bringing a story to the screen. Get an inside look at casting and find out what really goes on in the room.
My name is John Williams. I'm a casting director.
I'm Heather Kafka, and I'm an actor.
And today we have the writer, director, cinematographer, and producer of The Beldham. It's a struggling new mother fights a generations of old presence lurking within her family home, threatening her safety, her sanity, and the life of her infant child. It is writer-director Angela Gulner, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Killed it.
Yep. She's a Dallas-based filmmaker, recent Dallas-based filmmaker,
Yes.
right? Are you from Dallas?
I am from Minnesota originally.
Minnesota? Okay.
Yeah.
And she does she's a theater artist. Her work tends towards genre, horror, surrealism, black comedy, and centers around women femme stories, which was awesome to see 3 female leads, which was really cool. She launched her filmmaking career with the viral dark comedy Binge, inspired by her experience with bulimia. She's the co-founder of Wicked Myth Films, an independent production company specializing in high-concept elevated genre work with her partner, right? Mm-hmm. Mark Meir. He's a producer, actor, and filmmaker himself. He grew up in the boondocks of the Texas-Oklahoma border. And did you guys film in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I did, yeah.
Okay. And moved to Los Angeles after receiving an MFA in acting and BS in film from the University of Texas at Austin. He made his directorial debut with the feature thriller The Summoned, which you helped produce,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The film premiered at the Overlook Film Festival domestically and Fright Fest internationally. XYZ Films acquired The Summoned for distribution, is now available on your preferred VOD platform. Additionally, Mark has an extensive resume as an actor, SAG Equity. In addition to his producing, directing, and acting work, he founded the highly regarded OTM acting studio in Atwater Village, California.
Mm-hmm.
Ksusha Genenfeld, right?
Ksusha Genenfeld.
Genenfeld, right? Cinematographer.
You nailed it.
She was born and raised in Russia. She is a Los Angeles-based female cinematographer with a deep passion to create beautiful images, which you did in this film. It's really, really beautiful and authentic to each project. Nothing is more important than being true to the story that is being told and picking the right language to do so. Always strives to push herself creatively and on every project and make something that is visually stunning and provoking, which you did tremendously on this film. So you guys did a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, this is your first full-length feature, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a director, I've written more. That this is my first time as director as well. Yeah.
So I know the independent film process is super easy and it comes together
So easy.
no problem.
Yeah, breezy.
So
Yeah.
let's talk about the origin. The origin.
People don't do it.
Yeah, people don't do it. The money just easily flows.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so let's where to start? Like, where did the idea come from, and what's the origins of it?
Yeah. So it came from. It's a tricky film to talk about without giving away the ending.
Yes.
okay,
And
so
let's not.
Let's not. But like literally, like I was looking at the timeline and we were about 10 minutes out before it was over, and I was like, how the fuck are they going to get out of this?
Same.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
At all. So
Yeah.
really nice job.
Thank
Me
you.
Yeah,
either.
really nice job.
And I also missed my exit coming here today, sort of refiguring everything out.
Oh, good.
Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah, you
Like,
go back and it just starts to,
I just rewatched the whole movie in my head on the way here, and then I was like, shit, I just missed the exit and was like, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, it's really badass.
Yeah,
Oh,
especially
thank
for
you.
a single location, which is hard. Like,
Yeah.
and the psychological part of it, and the casting was amazing. Anyway, where did it start?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so to talk around it, Mark and I got married in 2022. We've been talking about maybe starting to have kids and just feeling life stages shifting
Mm-hmm.
and our parents getting older, their parents getting older, and just feeling sort of the generational shift happening and all of the plethora of feelings that kind of come with that.
Yeah.
So those feelings, both good and bad, were sort of the nugget of the idea, and the ending is where I started and kind of built.
Of course,
the
I
story
get
back
it.
from
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any personal sort of you're going through this
Yes.
with family? Okay,
Yes.
got
Yep.
it. Got it.
Yeah.
So did
We're
you
all secretive.
know-
I
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I know.
Did you know about this story with the witch and this? Is it a mythology?
Yeah, it's kind of so. a beldam or a beldame is an old, like it's old English, but also many different French. There's like a Keats poem, I'm going to butcher this, La Beldame sans merci, the beautiful woman without mercy. So it literally means an old woman, a grandmother, a beautiful woman, a hag, a witch.
Mhm.
And I loved that the words put together could encompass all of those
Yeah.
things. And I just like love, we kind of have this hag witch, and I wanted to like play with like the hagification of old women in horror and kind of use imagery that we've seen, the scary old crone,
Mhm.
and kind of subvert that throughout the film as it goes along.
And the different perspectives on these ladies.
Yes.
With the knowledge as it unfolds.
Yeah. It's been fun. I'm watching Agatha all along right now, and they talk about maiden mother crone. And just like the different generations of women and how, we kind of have a maiden mother and a crone in the story.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, I like sort of playing with the archetypes of the women we see in horror.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when you're writing, did you think about, for the casting, did you have certain faces in mind or people that you knew or?
Yeah. So the actresses that play Harper and Bet, Katie Parker and Emma Fitzpatrick, they're really good friends of mine for a decade or so. And so I wrote the parts for them, and they were very, they've read probably more drafts than they would have liked to of this movie. I feel like it was like every 2 weeks, like, here, read this one. What do you think about this? But it was really fun to get their input on the characters.
I mean, Katie just did such a phenomenal job.
Yeah,
and just
both
went
their
there.
performances.
Yeah,
I know.
Really, really phenomenal.
And was just laid herself out there physically, emotionally.
I know.
Yeah.
She really trusted me a lot with this film. And
it seems like it would have, I was wondering about the casting, it seems like it would have to be friends to give that much trust to a director for first time feature length director, for sure.
Yeah. Which is why it was so important to me to have a female DP, because of the intimacy of the story and bodies and just feeling safe.
It's such a hard thing to play, and especially the way you guys played with that sort of, perception of what was going on through her eyes. It was handled so well.
Thank you.
You guys did such a good job, and she did such a good job with that. And then so you had that. Did you had this script, and then you had to go find the money, or
something like that.
How did that process go for you? Because that's always the hard.
Hunter-gatherers.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's never easy, but we are like fortunate, like from our first movie to this movie, to be working with the same team. And they've been lovely, and they really trust us, and they really they're in it for the right reasons, and so it was a little bit easier than probably the first time we've done it. You know, you do understand the process a little bit and the structure of those things. But it's it's the boring money part,
But it's the part that I think people are very curious about, because without that we're just playing make believe on our own.
Definitely.
Definitely.
I think it helped to get the first one out there, though, for sure. But to get the money for our first film was, it was a definite labor, in terms of like every day getting up there, trying to grind away at that number that you think you need.
Yeah.
And then to know that you probably need more than that at the same time.
You do.
Yeah.
You always need more than what you have.
And taking these steps towards like getting the cast that you really want, too. Like we have these, amazing friends that are actors that are in the film, and then also getting somebody like Patricia Heaton involved, like America's Mom.
Yeah.
It's like, you're stepping in this direction where it's like, yes, money becomes important because you want so many people to see it, to get the interest there.
And how did you?
Yeah, how does that happen? What is that conversation about? Like
with Patricia, or with,
I mean, do you feel like, yes, you have your friends and they're obviously talented and amazing, but maybe not as well known. Do you feel like you need someone with a more well-known name?
it's tricky, because I think sometimes you feel that and you may or may not need it. I think with this particular one, it was so interesting because somebody like Patricia, who has been out in front of in our living rooms for 20 years, that lends a level of credibility for something like this too. That like when you see that, you're like, I know her, and I don't think I've ever seen her in anything like this. I'm interested, and I want to lean forward into that. So I think that's in our mind. And casting is always it's an interesting process. Having worked,
it's a good way to put it. Interesting. I don't know if I would have put it that way, but okay.
Having worked as an actor, you understand that it's like, and this goes to like every actor who's possibly listening. It's like, hey, you can do a fantastic job and be an amazing actor, and you might not be the right fit for the project. You might be able to act circles around in the project, but the producers, they're trying to put something together that is artistic itself. Like how is somebody in Kansas going to see this movie on a poster and be like, I want to watch that? And that can feel disheartening, but I think if you allow that to sort of wash over you as an actor, and be like, you know what? The roles that are right for me are going to come to me. And that's really tough. It was tough for me as an actor.
It's really tough, yeah. Especially when rents due.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and you're always like, if someone doesn't give me that chance, how do I get to that?
Right. And that's actually, that kind of, you should speak to that, because the way this came about is we were frustrated as actors.
Yeah. We both started as actors.
Yeah.
Well, all three of us. Actually.
Yeah.
Listen,
You
everybody here.
Yeah. Actually, you too. Yeah.
Wait, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I love that.
You sort of grab
it's the easiest way in, right? It's like you take a picture of yourself and then you're a professional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
It's like there's no other industry. It's like you can't go buy a welding machine and say, hey, I'm a welder. But you can take a picture of yourself and be like, I'm an actor.
You also just don't know better.
But
you're like, this is what I should do.
This is how you get in.
This is how I get into movies.
Yeah.
But you started as an actor?
Yeah.
That's an interesting transition for me.
She doesn't like talking about it.
I don't know many people that have the skill set to be able to be an actor and then go into the sort of technical
I
mathematics
feel like it translates so well.
Working a camera.
It's helped me so much to be a better cinematographer.
Sure.
But I started as an actor. I moved to LA when I was a teenager, trying to, pursue my dreams of becoming a star. And then shortly later realized it wasn't something that I was really interested in. And I just realized I wanted to make stories and create stories. And as I said earlier, I just thought, well, what else am I supposed to do if I want to be in movies? I guess I'll be an actor, And growing up in Russia, especially as a little girl, you don't think that you could, be a director or a cinematographer or producer, And you also don't see the behind the scenes ever. You just see the people that are in the forefront. So,
but cinematography is very competitive. There's only one in every production. So that's like a really intense place to dive into. So then where did you go? How did you jump into that?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing this very, very low budget movie. I was one of the leads in it as an actor. And it was so low budget that we were all kind of helping each other, carrying, bounces and lights.
We've all been there.
Yeah. And then I just was always...
I still go there sometimes.
Yeah. Like, ugh, I need a little bit of a, light. But I was just always drawn by visual language. And it was, it's tough that the job of a cinematographer and getting there is tough. But I just kept on going and, got an education, and that really helped.
So you went to school to...
Yeah, I went to Loyola Marymount University for production, film production, and learned a lot there just from being on set. And the program's so great because it's all about just making movies with your friends. Like they're very much, make sure you're on set. You're not just studying, film theory.
Loyola Marymount, right by the LAX. That's a great school.
Yeah.
I always forget about that school. It's a great school.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. And it's they're actually very, they're well known for getting, crew out that is really good. Like they, a lot of cinematographers and gaffers and editors and operators come from that school.
I auditioned a couple times for shows there.
You did?
Yeah. It's all coming back to me.
Maybe it was one of my movies I was making.
No, it was not. I'm 180. It was not. Well, you did. I mean, the look and the feel was amazing.
Really
and I also think that being an actor for all it I think we're the best filmmakers. Like because you understand. So how has that been, that transition for you guys from acting to producing and shooting and stuff like that?
It's been awesome, honestly.
The control.
And just feeling like, I mean, granted, like there's a lot of hardships that come in indie film, you know, like, but having your own agency and your own autonomy, and you get to make choices and fall on your butt, and you know, there's nothing quite like we made this movie and now it's here, you know, like it wouldn't have existed if we hadn't just been like, you know what, let's freaking do this. And you know, it's cool to, you know, have these two friends that I've loved who don't work nearly enough, you know, who I think should be on the, you know, billboards, you know, to be able to showcase them. And
awesome.
And you know, to work with my husband and now, you know,
and your daughter.
And my daughter, my Russian daughter.
How did it come about with Patricia? How did you guys end up the casting process?
You know, it's kind of incredible and serendipitous. The company that we worked with in Oklahoma, Rebellium. What do they do? Rebellium. They're a production company.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're based out of Tulsa.
Okay.
And so partnering with them, and they had just worked with Patricia and her husband on something that Patricia and her husband had made. And they were like, she's amazing. And I was, you know, you hear that and you're like, okay, like, and the idea of like, once they said her name too, then I'm like, oh my God. Like,
it's perfect. Yeah.
It's kind of like
in casting too. Like I was like, when I saw her, I was like, yeah.
And
it's kind of a fun choice.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I mean that like, you know, this is.
And she has such chops and has such a dynamic background.
She would come in and, you know, we're talking some of the heavy lifting scenes, and you know how a day on set is. It's like you're at the end of the day and it's, you got to get this shot and everybody's tired, and she's been waiting for this scene and she comes in, done. Like one take. And you're like,
it was like watching an Olympian. I was like, oh, this facility, the ability to switch on a dime, to be doing it, and then the next second just she's hilarious, just like cracking jokes and chill, and then I was like, wow.
Focus.
Yeah. She was so amazing to work with.
I know that she's sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say she was so down to do whatever it took. Like we have this in the movie, there's a scene where we filmed with an infrared camera. And so we bought this infrared camera where we were testing it together, and it's like this tiny little camera that's just like very, you know, the most indie thing you've ever seen. And we had the idea that, you know, Patricia was going to be holding it and banging against her head. And it's like no light. Her hair is just in front of her face. You know, she looks like a witch. You know? And we were like, okay, you know, Angela was telling her, okay, I think, you know, you're banging this against your head. And she was like, all right, great. And then she was so creepy and so great. And it was just so cool to get to work with her.
That's fun though, you know?
Yeah.
So much fun to do as an actor.
Yeah.
And I've read that she was like, kind of like for Raymond, she was a little bit sort of like conflicted, because it was like she was more of a serious actress in Broadway, and you know, and she was like, this isn't really what I do.
Right.
But you know,
she can do it all.
Yeah.
Like she's facile. She's just like, it's so quick for her too. I'm like, coming from an acting background, I'm like, damn, that's good. You know, it's like,
and also really, you know, my first feature, like, I cast.
That's the thing.
I was nervous. I was really nervous. She was immediately so disarming. Feels like your mom. Like she just is a really kind, generous talent. She texted me there. We had a hard day on set. So, I can't remember exactly what had happened, but it was like one of the more stressful moments. She texted me that night. She was being like, "You're doing great," and I was like, this is amazing. Like, I feel so supported.
Yeah.
And then
I think
Corbin Bernsen.
I know.
How did
I
he
know.
come about?
how did
Corbin was more of like the traditional reach out through agent's manager, and he's got a fun genre history.
Yeah.
He's got this like with the dentist, like fun sort of cult, you know.
Going back to Patricia for just a second too, I think it was interesting for her too, like we're husband and wife. She works with her husband. You know, I come from a big like family of all boys. She has all boys. She has, you know, it's a we like it felt familial. Like it felt like here's America's mom, and here we are. You know, talking about our families, and
it's kind of nice. Kismet meant to be.
Yeah.
But then like you just reached out to agents for that role.
Yeah, for Corbin. Yeah. It was pretty
seamless.
Yeah.
I mean, did you like sort of have a brainstorming session of here's some guys that
some men that feel like this kind of texture, like it was important that character could feel both dangerous and comforting and sort of like play this line of just being the only man in this feminine space.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do very much to have the potential to be threatening. But we also wanted someone.
Played it great. That's so supportive of it and sort of like, kind of like, you know.
It was always this fine line of sort of like how you perceive him. I felt like it was always like, well, how am I perceiving him? Why am I feeling uncomfortable around him? Like what is he? What is he?
The whole
he's not doing anything.
Yeah, you're like, who's the creeper? Who's the creeper? Who's the one? Who's gonna? You know, the whole thing trying to figure it out. And so, I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, but he played the and we needed someone who could undersell that, you know, and not come in too strong.
Very much like that, where I was always questioning myself around him, like my own perception of him, and like I was having this
I've had a whole story in my
inner
head,
dialogue
about
with
what a creep
myself
this guy
about
was.
why am I feeling this way? There's no reason.
And then you guys did locals for just the potential home buyers and stuff.
I don't know if you recognize Awkward Husband.
Yes.
That was not supposed to happen.
No, I think somebody actor had booked something, I think.
No, I think it was
So you guys were obviously paying a lot.
Yes.
Just waiting for those residual checks to roll in.
Seriously.
No, I think I'm trying to remember, the actor was coming from LA and if there was some miscommunication whether it was going to be a local hire or not. And then I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But if I got it wrong, I apologize to everybody here. But yeah, I think it was that. And it was like, well,
tapping you in.
Well, it's just like, well, Mark can act. You know,
we do it all the time.
Yeah,
we do it all the time. And then as far as I saw some stuff with the Cherokee Nation or something, what was the connection there?
Yeah, so we worked with Oklahoma Film and Music Office and Cherokee Nation we shot in Cherokee Nation, and so with their rebate program, which was very helpful.
They have great programs.
Yes.
State of Oklahoma and Cherokee Nation, and the fact that you can stack those two together, like that really goes a long way. And it's interesting to see, like we're in Texas too, and I'm a Texas boy. Like I love seeing Texas and Oklahoma compete in the incentives. I'm like, yes, keep doing it, keep competing. But yeah, it was, and that was Rebellion was great in terms of with working with all those incentives, because there are local.
Get the paperwork in. And then getting lucky with the location too, I guess, within that, right?
Yeah, that was stressful to me. I don't know how you felt about it, but like finding that location was like.
Yeah, and Rebellion helped us with that too, because they really specialize in LA productions that are wanting to shoot in Oklahoma, in Cherokee Nation, and they have great relationships with both of those offices. But finding the perfect location is always a little bit stressful, but it was great, and they visited us. Both of those offices visited on us a couple of times, which was really cool.
They were fantastic.
Yeah, they're building up, ideally, like, these incentives can last a while, and you build up these, like you were saying it with your history working regionally, like build up these crews so people can have lives outside of the major hubs and get paid great rates and have families and not have to be,
Yeah, I'm doing a project there right now. They're great.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah.
And then is this your guys' first time working together? Or?
Yeah.
How was that? Because you did the tone, the feel, the look, the camera movements, like your ability with the exposition of the writing, I thought was just tremendous. It was so subtle and so great. But how was your guys' like journey?
Horrible.
I can tell you guys, I can see it underneath the hatred that you guys,
Amazing.
Yeah. We met in such a funny way too. We met because Angela was producing.
I was producing a short.
Yeah. And I was being kind of interviewed, I guess, for being, shooting it. And then it was really funny because the whole time me and Angela were just like talking on the phone. We're all on the Zoom. It's like me, director, the other director, and then Angela. And me and Angela just like taking over the phone call. Just like just talking to each other and like connecting right away. And yeah, it was, I mean, that phone call was like 20, 30 minutes.
And I like got off the call and I was like, oh, she needs to direct my movie. I'm stealing her.
Yeah.
Or she needs to direct the photography. Yeah. And I really wanted a woman cinematographer. Her work is so specific and cool. And I just, like I was nervous stepping into a first feature.
Did you have a lot of like technical background or
no?
Yeah.
And so I, you can tell me how you remember it, but I tried to be really honest with her. And when I was like, hey, I would really like you to shoot this. I have not done this before. And I'm looking for a partner where I don't feel like a dumb idiot if I have to ask
asking
stupid questions
about lenses and stuff, and you're like, I don't know.
I'm going to do my best to communicate how I see it, but I really wanted a collaborator. I didn't want to say, here's what I want it to look like. I wanted to hear how she saw the world, and I wanted to find that together. And
what was that conversation like? What were some of the influences and things?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we talked so much, and it was one of the most collaborative experience I've ever had with a director, where it really did feel like, because a lot of people say yeah I'm collaborative, but
and
they're
then
not.
show up
As
on
long
the
as
day
you do
and
what
they're
I
not.
say.
Yeah, and and with Angela, it was very much like a true collaboration, and we really got to talk about so many different films and things that inspired us. And like, I love the way that I like to work is I like to set rules for each character, for how we approach things and why we're shooting things, like I always want it to have a reason. And for example, like we were talking about how we wanted to see Harper, the main character, she is supposed to feel kind of trapped in this house and being surveyed by pretty much everybody, including the house, including the presence in this house. And so the way that we wanted to shoot her was, okay, well, we're never giving her a clean shot. Every time you see her, she's always over somebody's shoulder, or, there's a dirty, door in the frame or a wall or something. We wanted to make her feel confined. And like finding that language together was just so fun and beautiful, and finding out, discovering aspect ratios together. And that was really fun. We went with a very untraditional, like 1:5:5 aspect ratio. And, I was like, let's do something interesting and fun, and let's play with, we have a whole thing that happens at the end of the film where the aspect ratio changes because of the reveal. And that was a really fun discovery that, we came up with, where we were like, let's make it
in-camera
dynamic.
effects for the glitches and some of that other stuff, and some of the sort of like not dream sequence, but sort of the sort of like acid, I don't know.
Yeah,
flashbacks.
We built a whole rig for that, which was, a whole ordeal. And that was really intense, but so fun that we got to like, that moment, the climax of the film.
Yeah, we had a grip running. You can explain it better than I can, how you built that shot.
Yeah, we have our key grip Tyler plant was so amazingly collaborative, and we were a low budget movie, so I was like, I want a spinning rig that spins off the ceiling on a shoestring budget. How do we do that? Because usually you just get it motorized. And so he built it for us, which was so great. And then he's just running, he has a stick on the other side, the camera is on the other end of the rig, and he's just running around like full speed
Yep.
in circles, you know?
Yeah. That's the dolly shot. Go get the shopping cart.
Yeah. But it worked.
It worked. I mean, it doesn't feel. I can kind of guess where you guys were budgetary, but it does not feel that way at all.
Oh, not at all.
And what you guys did was so amazing with the camera work. Talking about it, like you did feel like you were in her head and you were claustrophobic, and you were like, I've like literally had to a couple times be like, like remember to breathe, because I just felt the tension, which is so hard to do in a single location, minimal cast, and to what I think you guys did amazingly was like, it's so hard to portray that psychological just sort of like meltdown and really feel it, And I think a lot of times people just go to like sight gags and stuff like that, but you really feel her process of going crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and it's such a good job. It's so hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt the camera work was a lot of that. And then Kate did an amazing job. And then also, if you don't know what they're talking about, just do this.
Yeah, exactly.
1 second.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
good,
do that.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but and a lot of the whole film was very low coverage.
Yes.
And that's something that we actually really wanted, but it really, really helped us because of our schedule.
We had 15 days.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
you know what's so interesting when you say all of this? Because when you watch the film, none of this would be known. It doesn't feel first time.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel low budget.
Yeah.
It feels rich texturally. It feels like it's definitely in good hands. Like it feels grounded. It feels calm. It doesn't feel rushed. Doesn't feel like 15 days with people who don't have any money and are doing this for the first time. It doesn't feel glossy. It feels very like the edges are very well rounded. They are very purposeful. They are very, nothing feels like it was like patchworked or like
We'll fix it in editing or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
none of that. It doesn't feel anything like that. It feels like, it almost feels like a throwback to when we made films on 35 millimeter with huge budgets of people who took their time, like a well-oiled crew of like it feels like a really heavy movie in that way. Like, I don't mean heavy and like, I just mean like a
substance and
like a weighted
well
movie. Not like a bunch of kids got together and did this thing real quickly and only had 15 days and blah blah blah. It doesn't feel like that at all.
So for your next one, let's see what you guys can do in 10 for half.
Yeah.
No.
We're only going to give you $10,000.
There's something that we keep seeing in this room with people that are, this is the best case scenario to allow for the most creativity.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. And that the best films and the best experience that people are having is in this sort of ballpark, which I feel like we're getting back to this world and need for this type of film.
Yeah.
And independent,
But also I feel like it's important that they feel supported.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if they're stressed in all the wrong ways, then it doesn't come out the same. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You guys seem like you feel, if I'm not mistaken, maybe you're just saying it for the show or whatever, like you had a good experience. Like you were supported by, the rebate and the place you shot and the whatever. It feels like, and then you had this magical experience of coming together with these new friendships and relationships, and the way it all came together with Patricia felt fated and like it was sort of all supposed to happen in this way that feels supportive.
Yeah.
As opposed to like sometimes you can still be an independent low budget film that's like begging for money and you're barely getting any and you're rushed and everyone's stressed and it's like, and I feel like it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
So like even the obstacles don't always make for the best working environment.
Right.
It's like I do appreciate that we should be, working under some sort of like challenges to get like the best work out of us, but also with an element of like, let's not kill ourselves in the process. Like, and
I think having, I got the benefit of, it was my first feature as a director, but it was our second feature together. And we had a little more resources on this one than the first one. And so I think some of
what you're describing, we experienced on
the
our first
time.
You were in Texas. Sorry, I feel like I tell this story,
No, but
it's just so indicative of the experience we had. And like we got to work with friends on our first one, and it was great. But we also get hit with this crazy winter storm that knocks out the entire state of
In
Texas.
February 2021.
That was on day 5 of shooting.
Day 5?
Oh, okay.
So-
Of the summit, of the first one.
Of the first one.
Yeah.
And so I think some of the stuff you're saying, I'm like, yeah. And I think maybe from my perspective, it's from a producer perspective, it's like, those are all the things that I need to hold on to so that they have the experience you're talking about.
Right.
And like, that's when I feel like I'm doing my job best is
Yes.
when I feel like I'm dealing with a total winter storm and they're feeling creative.
Right. Right.
And that's what when somebody asks what a producer does, I'm like, I don't know, I'm doing this, but I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I'm just trying to make things right for other people.
But
Yeah,
I
I do feel like that. A lot of times a good producer is absorbing some of the negativity to like preserve and protect the world of creativity.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the biggest gift Mark gave.
The worst
us
is the worst is when you're on a movie and all the production, all that stuff tends to be on the forefront, and then they're like, "Yeah, go up there, monkeys, do your thing real quick. We got all this
like
stuff
that.
we got to get done." And you're like, "This is the thing.
Yeah.
This is
Why rush that?
No one's gonna see this. They're gonna only see that." Yeah,
That's what
It's
I'm
very short-sighted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it also helped too because we had the same team of executive producers, and we had the winter storm, we had so many hardships on the first movie, and the way that they supported us and didn't freak out when we called them and said we have to shut down for 5 days because we don't have power.
Yeah.
And so we were armed with the confidence that they weren't going to freak out if there were issues that came up.
I was running power out of my car to keep casting going for people, and I'm like, dude, like, can we just push it a day?
Yeah. So I think some of the first
we
film
just learned a lot.
Yeah.
So what was the major things you're like, we're going to do differently on this one?
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it's
like we're going to have food.
That helps.
No, I think it's doing the first one, you learn, and then this is like, you just learn that you're not as prepared as you think you are. So when you walk into the second one, you're like, let's be over-prepared in every single way we possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get there and you're still like, we're still not as prepared as I thought we were.
What are some examples of that, you think?
I mean, so much of the first movie I blocked out because of that winter storm.
Yeah.
I mean, Ksusha and I
shot.
How many times did we shot list and reshot list and reshot list?
I think 3 times.
Yeah, and we did it over Zoom, and then we did it in our prep week in this space. We went through, and it's my favorite thing. We went through and did a shot by shot of every scene in the film with my dog as the stand-in for the baby.
That's got to be in the director's cut or something.
That was amazing.
That was amazing. And then every weekend, which your agent might get mad at me for saying this, but we would go back to the house and look at the week ahead and kind of look at, okay, is what we've done and then redone, is that in line? Do we want to keep the things? Do we want to adjust things? How do we? So I mean, that's where I'm so grateful for. I also just needed, Ksusha and I are extremely perfectionistic, detail-oriented, spreadsheets. I really needed a partner who was as manically detail-oriented as me. As annoying
I have
as
a
me.
feeling they'll be working together again.
Yes, forever. She's stuck with me.
All I know is when you're that type of a personality, like I am, and you find that other person, you're like, you're not going anywhere.
No, it's the best. And,
Yeah.
Angela is just so one of the most talented people that I've ever met. And then when we met, it was like love at first sight.
Yeah.
And then everybody,
Easy, come on. No, I'm just kidding.
and a lot of people, he's like,
Mark was watching this love affair.
Yeah.
It's
just started.
Yeah.
But
we become Three's company.
Exactly.
But a lot of people on set were like, you guys have been best friends for forever, right? You guys have worked together, right? And we were like, no, we just met.
We just met in
2
Oklahoma.
weeks ago or a week ago, but
in person.
Yeah. But she's just it's the best as a cinematographer to work with a director who has so many great ideas, but is also willing to say let's just throw it all out, or let's talk, let's communicate. She's an incredible writer,
Yeah.
all this, all the things I've ever read that she's written are just incredible. And so when I first read the Beldham, I was just like, oh, I have to make this movie with her. It's just so beautiful. And I knew how much it meant to her, with her connection to like other things that's happened in her life. So yeah, it was just very special. And yeah, it was one of those films where you come in and you're thinking, okay, we're going to do whatever it takes to make this the best version of it. Because once that's done, you can say, we did our best. We put all our energy into this, and this is what, came out of it.
Yeah. Real quick, the production design and how was the babies and the birds?
Good Lord.
That's actually one of the things when you were talking about what did you do differently, the production design was like, it was a big...
It was a big part, yeah.
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 And we got really lucky with the house itself too, from a production design standpoint. That house was literally being in the process of being sold.
Okay.
So walking in with that.
Yeah. And then O'Shea, our production designer, built such a beautiful, specific world. I remember when we walked into the living room after they had painted and I started crying and I was like, it's the house. And he's like, remember this feeling for when I fuck up later. It was very sweet. He was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He found so many beautiful, like he went to estate sales.
Yes.
He really put so much effort into finding these like gorgeous pieces, like armoires and beds and frames and really giving like the wall textures. And, he was just.
Even down to like the rocking chair that he picked that the monster sits in has these like talon like he's like I'm gonna find this rocking chair, I need this rocking chair. And it was just really cool to that's the best part is like you spend so much time writing this thing and then other creatives come in and put their it's like oh
I love seeing the words come to life.
I think that speaks to the writing though. When somebody reads it and they're like, I know exactly what this is, and they come back exactly with what you were thinking.
Yeah.
Were the birds difficult?
Goose. The bird's name was Goose.
Goose?
Yeah.
Yeah. We loved him.
Goose was really beautiful. He was a young little boy.
First time actor?
First time, I think it was his first job.
Wow.
Thank God.
He did really well.
Is he rep now? Is he rep? Is he doing more bird stuff?
Yeah.
He wasn't a diva.
He wasn't a diva.
No, he was
Although,
not.
you have to respect, I learned a lot about animal wrangling. Like they needed the room for like an hour.
People on set, dude. I mean, they're great, but they're fascinating.
But, I mean, you
people.
have to be like a very specific person to want to do that.
Whisper to Goose,
especially to have Goose.
To Goose, and Goose and Crystal.
Oh, you need a bird? Yeah, I got a bird.
Yeah,
I got Goose.
They had a really like intimate relationship, Goose and I because I was like I'll be honest, like that was my worst day on set is because, and I was like, I'm never gonna write an animal that needs to seem like they're in peril again because she kept being like he's okay, like I will tell you when it's not okay. And I was like, okay, I just have to like I can't even watch monitor because she was shooing him and then the bird would fly and look stressed out and I was like I can't actually watch. And Crystal kept being like it's fine, like but it was so stressful for me.
The bird is acting
to watch Goose fly around, and thankfully Katie was like thought it was like kind of cool and was like chill with the bird. But yeah, that was really stressful for me.
That would probably bother me too.
Yeah,
it was tough.
But Lincoln, the real star of that baby.
Oh my God.
The best baby you've ever met in your entire life.
Every now and then I would have to like look back and be like, there's still a baby on camera. Because he was just like,
he was perfect.
Chill.
He was just
like, it was insane.
Yeah. Because originally like all the producers were like, we got to use that baby as little as possible. Like, you do not know what's going to happen. Yeah. Like, and as soon as we met him and got him on set, I was like, baby's getting more days. As many days as we can afford to have the real baby here. And he just, I mean, Katie's so good with kids. Like, he loved Katie. Was so happy to be.
Yeah.
And he and 6 of his family members are coming tonight.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. And he's like a child now.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle that.
That's so
it's-
crazy.
so awesome.
Who now? Yeah.
Because we're joking about that on set.
Yeah.
Like when this is done, this is gonna be like a real human.
Yeah.
baby. Like,
yeah.
That's amazing.
but he would turn
Goose
his
will be there.
face to
Goose
camera.
will be there as well.
Yeah, goes over there.
It was insane. He would literally he would know where the camera was. It
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
what is up with you?
He never
Yeah.
cried. We had to
Never
fake the
cried.
crying because he never cried. He was just,
You guys got
He looks
lucky,
just
man.
so
So happy.
mellow.
Yeah.
he was
You guys
so
got-
happy.
I mean, there was the
lucky.
one time she was holding him like on screen for I don't know how long, and he was just like,
do do do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I was like, he's not even fidgeting
No.
or anything. He's just like, he's not trying to look at camera. He's just like looking off in the distance, like what?
The way you guys
Perfect.
played that too with the paperwork that with the, I don't want to give it away,
Yeah.
but the way you guys played that whole transition and how it ended up being was just awesome.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That was
And
I
it
also
it
just
kind of made it
wanna,
make so much. It just brought everything together so well.
I also just want to like call out and give props to your sound design
yeah.
because
He's
that
a genius.
really bothered me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like like sound in horror and stuff like that is I think a real big part of it for me.
Yeah.
Like it just sensorially gets to me, and like the sounds that he came up with
Mhm.
in this particular piece are so like
Yeah.
unsettling that it just really got under my skin.
Oh, good.
And like I'm not normally afraid of birds necessarily. I'm not a big fan of crows, but
uh-huh.
I am a big fan of like vultures because I feel like they get a bad rap. Like, I feel real bad for those guys. I'm always like, oh man, they gotta eat what they gotta eat, man. And they're just
Trying to
doing
survive.
their thing. Nobody
Yeah.
likes them. They don't do. They're kind of cute. But crows are kind of like not my thing. And then the sounds that he was coming up with were just so unsettling and really, really good.
He's
and
Brian Parker.
Brian
like-
Parker is
Yeah,
a
he's-
genius.
He's
And his team like we got so lucky with him.
yeah.
Was that through the Oklahoma people, or was that
No, we had
North
worked
Coast?
with him briefly a little bit on our first movie, and he's a friend of Katie's.
Katie's is how we know him. He's worked on a couple of films that she's been in, and he's got Emmy noms. He does a lot of TV, but he loves
Yeah.
the art. Like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
loves the indie work, and so he makes time for it, and like it allows him to, I think, like help mentor younger artists.
Also, too, it's just a space for them to play in. It's
Yes,
free, right?
definitely.
Like when you're doing TV and you're doing big budget stuff,
It's like-
it's just so
Yeah.
it's so controlled. Like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you guys, like this is the most creative, fun space that we.
Yeah.
He would
have.
send us like just little samples. It's just so fun. He would be like, "I'm thinking of this," and he'll text it to us, and we're just like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
It's
And
like-
he was like filming this bird that kept like showing up in his front yard.
Yeah.
He's like, "What about this sound?" Just sending me
You're like,
videos
"Ah."
of birds. It was really cool. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, you guys premiered tonight.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the where you guys the hopes is in the road ahead.
Yeah. I
take
mean,
charge.
so after this, we're headed to Film Quest, and then we're playing a.
We're lucky we got you guys early.
Yes, yes,
You're fresh.
yes,
Yeah.
fresh. And then we're playing a festival in Denmark, but we're not able to go to that one.
Oh, man.
I know it would be
love
fun
to
to
go
go.
to Denmark.
I know.
I just
and-
love to get out of this country.
Especially this next week.
I know, seriously.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we have a sales team behind it. They're the Coven. That's an all-female sales team, which is great.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we love that. They're actually the team behind Terrifier 2, and
which couldn't be more
Terrifier 3.
different. Taking
Yeah, it's like-
horror.
we're just
Right.
very we're at a
But
very
they're getting
different
lots
project.
of calls. So
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and so they're starting to start that process. That sales process can be a long one, can be a short one, but we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, it's weird now because the industry's changing so much, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of one and dones.
Yeah.
We just did a one and done.
Yeah.
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 We'll see. Hopefully.
What does that mean, John? Tell the people
One
at
and
home
done
what that
means that you sell worldwide rights
Yeah.
to a streamer, and then you're done.
And that's it. Yeah.
That's it. That you get your check, and that's all you get.
Like
and then-
you
and
sell
then
to Netflix, and
Yep.
then
and they give you a check, and they own it for
Ever.
ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's such a wild feeling.
Yep. And then it does really well on their platform, and we don't see any residuals. It's great.
It's so fun.
and then
great.
they dump it from their platform, and you can't find it ever again.
Oh God.
Yikes.
But we're hoping,
we make art so people see it, right?
Yeah. Or, like circling a little bit back to the Patricia, because, such a horror is such a traditionally male dominated space, traditionally young men. And I really feel like this is a horror. I think everyone can enjoy it, but especially like women who are like boomer age, like my parents' age, because they're going through this. And I'm hoping that her audience that maybe wouldn't traditionally see these kind of movies will come out and give the genre a chance and see like there is a place for everyone to find stories within the genre that they connect with.
Or they're watching and they're like, "Oh, it's the mom from Everybody Loves Raymond. Let's watch this one."
Exactly.
You're like, "Oh my God, no!"
This will be a good family movie.
Hey, honey, look.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is also awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, we're at time, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was a really fun conversation.
We're
great
so appreciative of you guys
y'all.
coming, and we're so appreciative of the effort and the energy because we know what it takes, and you guys did an amazing job.
Yeah, I really hope everybody gets to see it. It's really, really a great film.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and then
great.
We look forward to watching your guys' journey because you guys are you're definitely doing good stuff.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was great.
Our show today was recorded in studio by the good folks at Record ATX. Check them out at recordatx.com. Our theme music is produced by Jonathan Price. You can check out some of the sounds he makes with his project, The Mid-Cities, on Spotify. Follow, subscribe, and smash that like button if you see one. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.